will exit office. What would you say will be the legacy that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will be leaving behind?
Well, legacy, we'll talk about legacy about Nana Addo. It will be a bit of a problem to me. Because I remember as far back as that was 6 December 2016, about 9 p.m. But I retired to bed when my helper, that's the young man before my leave, came to inform me that there's a gentleman at the gate who wants to talk to me. Initially, I declined. Looking at the time, and this area is quite a very quiet area too. I asked him, one, is he alone? He said, yes. What is his mission? And he said he was a journalist. And then something told me to speak with him. So I got up, got myself organized. I remember I sat at the other end of my house. When I was coming to sit down, I had a gun on me. Of course, he was not aware. He sat just opposite me. And I look at him as well. This man, I don't think he can even fight me physically. I'm talking about 2016. I was then younger. So we started having a chat. We spoke about elections in Ghana in general since independence. Then we narrowed to the election phase. That is, the next day was the election, the main 2016 election. And then he said, well, what do I think about Akufo-Addo and the elections coming on? That it looks like he will win the elections. I said, look, Ghanaians will regret terribly they voted him into power. Since 2016. So if you ask me about, what was the question?
The legacy.
If there's any legacy, his reign definitely shows it. That's all I would say.
You don't think that he's left anything positive behind? For instance,
what positive? No, when we were young people, our objectives have always been to make sure this country progresses to a certain stage, because we came to meet it that way. In fact, that's one of the reasons why Nkrumah sent a lot of young people abroad. You came back, we came to meet the military regime, headed by then General Kutu-Achiampong. Kutu-Achiampong came in, he stayed for a number of years, and he wouldn't like to go. So there were a series of coup d'etat attempts. And I must say, in one of the coup d'etat attempts, I was part of it. Okay. Now, after that, when Kutu was removed, that's another tall story. Not quite long after came the uprising, not the uprising, first came the May 15th uprising, May 15th coup attempt by Jerry John Rawlings, which failed. And by then we had just been released from detention, because I remember I spent my birthday at Osha Fort after having stayed there for almost 2 years. Then, when the May 15 failed, not quite long after that came June 4th. And when I look at the June 4th figures and those involved in the coup, these were all people I knew very, very well. They were my contemporaries, most of them. The only person I didn't know them was Jerry John Rawlings. But even later I got to know that he's my direct relative. But those in the coup that I knew who were key figures was a gentleman by name Major Henry Smith, a very bold soldier. We were in the same battalion, one battalion of infantry. If you get to my bungalow, the next bungalow was his. We were very close. So I told myself, if I had been around, definitely I would have been part of this move, you know. And June 4th was very confusing because for almost 2 days, no one knew who was running this country. It was frightening.
Right.
So we passed that phase. Then came 31st December Revolution, as they call it. We passed that phase too. Then when the PNDC government came into power, some of us decided that enough is enough. Military government should go away. That is not why they were commissioned. So a group of us, I'll try and remember the names. Dr. Kume Preko, you might have heard of him before. Very, 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 very well organized. Good organizer. Charles Brobe, I haven't seen for a while. I have to visit him one of these days. Kwesi Pratt, you know.
Yes.
Kume Preko, the one there now. Kume Preko. Akufo-Addo, may he rest in peace. Kume Kakraba Cromwell, he was a young boy who has just left University of Ghana. He has not even worked before, but he joined us. And late Victor Newman, myself, and Nana Akufo-Addo. That was a group. If we had been slaughtered, the number I mentioned now, none of us would have been alive today.
Right.
The sad thing is that, and by then, mind you, we didn't have televisions. We had television, but we didn't have these cell phones these days that you have.
And the social media we have.
Exactly.
Today.
So you ask me, how did we get ourselves organized, especially in relation to the public? We did a simple thing. We set up a network in Kumasi, done by Charles Brobe. And then those who helped us strongly were ordinary people, taxi drivers. We made numerous leaflets, and we gave it to them. Then they were distributing it. And believe me, when we met at the Nkrumah Circle, not what you see now, by then it was really a circle. When we met there, by the time I got there, when I saw the crowd, I was frightened myself.
Is this the Kume Preko?
Kume Preko I'm talking about.
Right.
That's the only Kume Preko. So Charles came to me, Charles said, now, a group has already left. Well, we can't just accommodate those coming here. The population is huge. So one of you have to go forward to lead them. So I remember myself, Kwesi Pratt, Akufo-Addo, we left in a taxi, drove, and we got the head of the team around Republic House, if you know Republic House in Accra. So quickly, I go to the front. And my colleague also was saying to the others. I remember 2 young chaps from the north. I have the pictures, I can show to you. And I was in the middle. And it was frightening. Now, when we got to TUC, let me make one point very clear here. Before we move, we sought permission. The Constitution allows us to protest.
Right.
And we saw the late, who died recently, late Inspector General of Police, Kofi, gentleman's gentleman. We met him, just like I'm sitting now. And he was so civil, it shocked us. So you have a right. Then he made a call to the police officer in charge of the Central Command. And we met him, I've forgotten the name. He was equally civil. And they promise us that they are going to shepherd us as we go along. But when we got to Old Kingsway, I don't know if you know Accra geography, but Kingsway, we were confronted by an armor-geared policeman. If you have not been, you have not seen a battle before, you get scared. And then they stopped us. I was at the head of the march. Then without any questioning, they started giving warning shots. So the crowd naturally dispersed. Then after a while, I noticed that they had a commander who was in one of these MOACs. MOACs is the vehicles that the police and the soldiers have been using. It wasn't a turret. So I marched towards him. And I told him, I said, gentlemen, whoever dies here, if you think you'll be scot-free, you are telling lies. One day you'll be tried. The moment I said that, he called another police officer, and the police officer who were confronting us now came and shepherded us through our course to our final location. That was where now you have Greater Accra Metropolitan Assembly. It used to be a park. But one thing took place, which I would like to bring to the public domain. When we got to Farisco, by then the PNDC had a unit who were very politically charged, So naturally they were not happy with what is happening. They could not face us directly. I think one of them, some of them had knives. In fact, I was informed about it the previous night. I said, that's no problem. I remember I was in Akutolante, sitting down there with a group of friends who were having beer. Then a young man came to me and said, look, there was a lane. They said, look, these people have been taken to the lane there. They have distributed knives to them. And that was the following day we were going to have this thing. And that we have to be careful. I said, no problem with that. If they have knives, we shall come. I remember on the same spot at that place too, I spoke with President Akufo-Addo. I called him. I'm sure you should remember this very well. I said, Kofi, there's a big demonstration tomorrow. He said, oh, you'll be going to Kumasi. I said, if you did, you lose a big political opportunity. And he stayed. So when we got to Farisco, somebody opened fire. Who was that? Today we don't know. But it might be one of these PNDC boys. And a young man, whose name has escaped me, but I'm sure I'll get, the young boy, about the age of 15, was shot dead. Their house was just a few steps from the area. I remember 8 people died. We buried about 2 in Nungwa, 2 or 3 in Nungwa. We buried 2 at Awodome. One was taken somewhere to the north. And that young man, I had no idea where he was buried. I remember the next day we went to visit those who were wounded at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Then, surprisingly, we held a huge memorial service for them at the church. I think we started with an open church, and we made it annually.
Right.
We visited various churches in Accra here. And we promised the family, listen to me carefully, we promised the family that should there be a change in future, our principal objective will be to look for those who killed these young people. We have been in power since the time of J. Akufo. Nothing happened. 8 solid years. In fact, that ceremony we used to have for these lost souls ceased. The promises we gave them ceased. As I talk to you today, it has never been fulfilled. We promised we'll look for them, and then also promise the parents what we could do.
Do you know why that promise was never fulfilled?
I'm coming. So Kufuor era, nothing happened. Well, Kufuor was not even part of the group originally. If we were to be arrested at that time, he wouldn't have been among the real leaders, if I would say so. Then, the years passed. The PNDC itself came to government. Rawlings, after Rawlings came Atta Mills. After Atta Mills came John Mahama. And one thing that shocked me was that John Mahama called me and wanted to find out if I could let him know where the parents of these slain people, particularly the 15-year-old boy.
I see.
So I get, what exactly is wrong with John? Years ago, anyway, he went to the place. It's in Adabraka, I can take you there.
Right.
I believe in physical evidence. I will get the name soon. The name will come. He comes from quite a well-known family. We went there. The poor old man and the wife met us. It was an unannounced visit. It was so pathetic. They were shocked. The whole thing took place in such a way nobody knew about it.
John Dramani Mahama, when he became president,
took
it upon himself to fulfill the promise that
exactly
you and Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo had made.
To my surprise, whoever gave him the idea, I have no idea. But when he asked me, I was surprised. And he had a chat with them and spoke with the family. And then left them some few gifts, and we left. But I believe strongly, I think the time has come to reward one way or the other. I don't know whether the parents of this young man are still living, but that can easily be ascertained. If they are living, they have to be given something before they die. Because this is a blood that has been shed in defense of democracy in this country. Akufo-Addo came, 4 years, nothing. He was part of the group. I spoke about it.
Did you ever talk to now President Akufo-Addo about the promise you had made over 20 years ago when he came into office?
No, I didn't talk about him directly, but I made mention of it in one of my interviews, like I'm doing now, on television, and I know you're here. 4 years past, nothing. We are ending another 4 years, making 8 years. Nothing has been done. And we have the leaders still around. Those who have passed on, Victor Newman and Akuto-Ampao, the rest of us, we are still alive. Here. I am not in government. I've never been in government, and I won't be in government. But those of the Akufo-Addo in particular, he was our spokesperson. He wasn't the leader of the group. Let me state that clearly. Akufo-Addo was not the leader of Kume Preko. We chose him as our spokesperson.
What happened to the relationship between you and President Akufo-Addo?
No, that's an interesting. What happened? We were very close friends. We knew ourselves from infancy. We knew each other very well. Strange, we were all living on the same street, Castle Road, years back. Myself, himself, But then Accra was not what it is today. Accra was a nice, clean city. And if you watch carefully the geography of Accra, the Castle Road runs all the way from Usu Castle, passes through the Ridge Hospital, passes down through the psychiatric hospital, goes down where you now have the cathedral, which used to be a park, and goes down all the way to the Odo River. That's the Castle Road. Well, young men, even adolescents, I can be more. Now, people like the Baksmati, what do you call, brothers, Face, Oma, and others, they were all friends. Hero Hariram, unfortunately, he has died. The Reynolds, that's Nijosa Reynolds and Neokan Reynolds, who was my contemporary, we're all together. Many I can mention them, the Techimensons, and a lot of us. So we knew ourselves. The pra, brother and the sisters.
Would you say that your relationship with the president back then, as young people, you were close? We
were close.
Right.
Oh, we moved together.
Okay.
We moved together. In those days, Accra was not as huge as I'm saying. And the center of activities really was at the Braka area.
So then what changed?
Now, I'm coming.
Okay.
So, of course, we all went through education, got into politics. We went abroad. We came almost around the same year because of the age group. Now, I was in the military. He was practicing law. Then, the formation of political parties, when the idea came in, after a champion had been removed by his own generals, and by then I was in detention with other colleagues, other military officers. So when we were released, before we were released, General Akufo's leadership has already agreed that there should be a political organization. Right. So when we came out of jail, those of us who had, some sort of sympathy for certain democratic, groupings, decided we should even be quiet and watch. Because we have just been released from prison. We really don't know who is who. Because the leadership was then there, very solid. Now, before a champion came, the party in power was the Progress Party, led by Professor Buzia. You follow me? That champion came. That's another tall story, how a champion got in. Another time, maybe I'll have the opportunity to discuss with people that can also tell you that ethnicity can destroy this country. Otherwise, a champion wouldn't have been a commander. There were better officers there. Now, when we were released, formation of political parties, fortunately or unfortunately, the front of the Progress Party got divided, once again on ethnic lines. The Ashantis against the Achems. Okay. So the Achems were behind a party known then as United National Convention, which we used to call it UNC. And then there another party known as Popular Front Party was where the Ashantis were, majority of them. The Popular Front Party was led by Victor Owusu, another good politician. And the United National Convention was led by William Oforiatta, we all call him Pa Willie. Then the CPP were very crafty, because their party, CPP, was then proscribed, so they couldn't hold elections. So they formed a party, and the party was led by a popular Ghanaian politician known as Imoru Igala. But Igala was disqualified from holding a political position.
Right.
So they had to look for somebody else. And that's how Liman came in. So Liman really was not a politician. Liman was a diplomat. I think you follow me.
I do.
So all they needed was to get a leader who would be acceptable to the people. So Igala brought in Liman. Unfortunately, not quite long after that, Igala died. So we went in for the elections. And because we divided our front, the CPP group had the opportunity and they won the elections, backed by the United National Convention. I think you follow me. So it's a sort of coalition, but a coalition that was quite strong. Okay. So they were able to run the country under Liman.
Until the coup.
And that was when Rawlings handed over power. He handed over the power from the AFRC, Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, to Liman. And Liman was in power. And as I said, he wasn't a politician. There were a lot happening. Protests left and right. And you can see that there was unrest in the country. And then, eventually, after several warnings by the security agencies that there could be a coup d'etat, he always ignored it. You follow me? Eventually, Rawlings came back. That was the second coming of Jerry John Rawlings.
Right.
Now, you asked me a question about why.
What happened to the relationship between you and...
It's very simple. I believe strongly on principles, in principles. We had a congress of our party, New Patriotic Party. The congress took place in Tamale for the first time. Now, if you knew or you know the history about the word NPP, the word NPP had already been used by political leaders for a political party in the North before independence or during independence. It was then known as Northern People's Party, led by S.D. Dombo, a very formidable politician, a man with integrity. And somewhere along the line, we adopted the name when we were asked to form a new party. That was during the era of the Fourth Republic. I was very instrumental in getting Akufo-Addo elected as a leader of our party. The history is a tall history. When I was an ambassador, what happened? I mean, it's a tall history. I'm not about to talk about that here, otherwise we shall never leave this room. But eventually he became leader of the party. But when he became leader of the party, I observed one or two things that got me a bit disturbed. But I said, oh, I have known Akufo-Addo for years. When we meet, I can tell him something, some which I did. But what really broke the camel's back, as far as I'm concerned, was when we had a congress in Tamale, first ever. And amongst those who were competing was a gentleman by the name Paul Afoko. I remember vividly that Akufo-Addo had a group that were continuously harassing this young man from becoming chairman of the party, national chairman. But I didn't understand. I said, what has this man really done? I knew his father was a key figure in our party years back. So it's not the new face, as far as the name is concerned. So I kept quiet, I was watching. Then another gentleman by the name Kwabena Ajepong, you might know him.
Yes.
He also wanted to contest as the general secretary. just when he was on his way to the north in a vehicle, listen to me carefully, he nearly died somewhere around the Accra-Kumasi Road. Fatal accident. He was brought to 37 military hospital. He's alive, you can ask him. I visited him twice because I knew he had the potential as well. Then the third person, his name was Sammy Crab, a young chap. He's around. These three figures, to me, were key figures who can run the party. Sammy, a brilliant young man. I remember carefully when he came in newly, he wanted to be regional chairman of the party, of Greater Accra. This is from Accra area here. And my good friend and late Jake Obeche-Belante was not comfortable with it. So Sammy came and told me. And I remember I had a discussion with the then Minister of National Security, Mr. Francis Poku, an excellent gentleman. And he settled that matter. The boy went to the competition and won. But after the difficulties this boy had, the group set up by Akufo-Addo had with Paul Afoko, I never understood it until later. And
you think the president was behind those things? I mean, what exactly did they do to frustrate them?
But then he wasn't a president. Don't make that me. He was just a leader, a presidential candidate.
Yes.
Then, like a joke, all sort of things were written, even writing letters outside to find about the background of the boy and whatnot. Nothing could hold the boy from taking part. We went into the elections, the boy won. Then they were sworn in. They came to office to work. Then this group, which I believe strongly were a group headed or had the backing of Akufo-Addo, organized some of our followers against them, and they were prevented from taking their office. Eventually, they came out with a false charge that they have been hobnobbing with the NDC. So they were suspended from the party indefinitely. Honestly, when I was called either by your outfit or about what I see, I really, really attack Akufo-Addo. Put him on the carpet the way I feel it should be done. Because I say, I have known you as a Democrat, and this is not the right way to go the way you are going.
But then, I mean, subsequently, the accusations brought against them were dismissed. And so we saw the likes of Kume Preko go back into the fold of...
No, Kume Preko, even that. In fact, you have brought a very interesting point. And young men who are learning politics will learn a lot from that. Kume Preko's behavior later didn't shock me, but might probably shock others. They were a group, Afoko chairman, Kwabena national secretary, and Sammy Crab as a second national vice president. These are three people who have been taken off.
Yes.
So you have to look for another new set of people. This is how Freddie Blake got into our party. He has never been a democratic figure. And I wasn't surprised that under his leadership, our party got destroyed. Freddie Blake, I'm saying they can challenge me anywhere. Because if I talk about it, it will be in volumes. I don't have time for that. Now, so when I attack Akufo-Addo, and we are in politics. I'm a physician by profession, but I have interest in politics as well. So I read about a lot about politics. And I knew that having suspended Paul Afoko and his group, they'll come on me, which they did. And then they wrote a letter that not the national executive. I learned the case was taken there, they couldn't take a decision. So one of the chaps, who was then a regional minister, said he can write the letter on behalf of the region. Well, my party card, which I have, which I can show to you. At that time, I was staying at cantonment, so I was under La area. So they wrote a letter to me that I have been suspended indefinitely. I didn't mind that. Nobody can sack me from that party. If they are not careful, I will organize for them to be sacked from the party.
Has that suspension been lifted now?
No.
Right.
No, it has not been lifted. Now, you asked a question about Kwabena Agyapong.
Yes.
Kwabena Agyapong shocked most people by trying to walk his way back into the hands of Akufo-Addo. And I cautioned him. The documents, I even spoke with him. Kwabena, it is a wrong move. What came into his mind before he did that, I don't understand. But he thought he would be accepted by them. He helped them to campaign for Akufo-Addo's second round. Then after the elections, they dropped him like a hot cake.
And he went back again, because in 2024, he was in the campaign.
That's exactly what I'm saying, that the first round, he was not really with them. But after the second round of Akufo-Addo, he started with
Which is the 2020 election.
Exactly. And maybe he was expecting some sort of, I doubt. Well, I don't think Kwabena has a problem, financial problem or anything. I don't know what.
I mean, he's told me, because I interviewed him earlier last year, he's told me that it's because of his love for the party. Oh, no.
Kwabena cannot love MPP more than me. I was in the party. It's not my age group. What we went through before the party was formed, he had no idea. Yes, there were younger people who were following this. His love for the party, more than the founders like J.B. Darocha, than Ajeni Mbuati, than Odroi Sais, than Peter Lajete. What's he talking about? There were giants in the party. We didn't get close to those people. When it came to positioning, there were giants in the party, giants with integrity. J.H. Mensah. I mean, these are figures. When you see them, you have confidence in them. And that is why, at that time, the whole intellectual group, in all the investors, were backing the NPP. Now they have all given their support to the NDC. And it is a fact.
I see.
Yes. Because the NPP now lacks leadership. It lacks leadership. And there's one thing I would like to caution them. I'm still a member. I've got my card.
Well, but you've been suspended indefinitely.
Oh, you can't sack a founding member of a party. They sack me for what reason? For speaking my mind. Then which follows the basic principle of the party's own philosophy is being undermined. I didn't attack anybody. Do you follow me? Yeah, I spoke my mind. Now, the state in which we are now, you asked me a question or something earlier. Well, I want to reply immediately before it gets out of my head. Party reorganization. The state in which we are now, and how the party looks like now. When the party had, not quite long ago, a Congress, and elected Intim as chairman, Intim comes to me in this house. I know all of them, with the exception of some of the young ones. Then you have the General Secretary, whose name is...
Justin Kodua.
Justin Kodua. I have never met him before. I knew the father. If that was the father, he used to contest always for the leadership of the party. He came from Kumasi Island. He was also a lawyer. The rest, I don't know any of them. If they want MPP to come back in its traditional form, as it was formed by B.J. Darocha and others, then the first thing they have to do is to call for an emergency meeting or emergency congress. Completely sweep out the present leadership. Get an IMC in position to organize the party for the party to come. Therefore, if they did make the mistake of using this old executive, we shall end up having UNC and what a PFP. Mark my words.
But they have formed a committee to investigate the loss.
I heard about that and I laughed.
Why so?
Oh, I know Michael Kume very well. You see, the Ghanaians have a saying, Saka, you know what is Saka? You won't know where. Saka used to be between Adabraka and Tudu, where they have horses, dead horses, which cannot contest at the race course anymore. They put them there.
Always knows how to play the right music to set off the show. And of course, this is the Day Show. We are back. It's another Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. on the dot, and we are here. I hope that you've had a fantastic weekend so far. And we're putting the icing on the cake with this very exciting show. And so stay put for the next 1 hour as we entertain you and we inform you as well. Speaking of which, well, my name is Berla Mundi, and this week on the show, we're focusing on creativity. I mean, the creative arts industry has put food on the table for many people for many, many years. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. From hairdressing to craftsmanship, you name it, and we'll find people in all those sectors. And today we're focusing on them. And so look forward to an exciting show today, but not before we go straight into our video of the day. Take a look, and we will be right back to meet our first guest for the day.
Excuse me. I have my first job interview today, and I've been struggling to put on my tie. Can you guys help me?
Sure, we can try it. Like this, and then like
another one. Oh yeah, and this. Now we put it inside.
Perfect.
Hey.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, excuse me. I have my first job interview today, and I've been struggling to put on my tie. Like, it's really stressful. I'm wondering if you could help me put it on for me. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is perfect. I really appreciate you doing this for me.
No problem.
There you go. I really appreciate you doing that for me. I really thank you. God bless. Hey, excuse me. I have my first job interview today, and I couldn't.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Please,
yeah, I'll get you. Don't worry about it. I only know how to do it on myself, and then. Around the neck. There you go. And there you go. There you go. Just unbutton it and tuck that in. Here, tuck both. Yeah, there you go. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
This is the reason why I love Ghana.
Then the lottery aquarium painted here. Yenim se Ghana and Nadim Kunim.
We are one. Ghana as one.
We are proud about Ghana. Sabaya 2 years now. Akos Asundem, Ayenshia or Haubia.
Africa and the rest of the world salute Ghana.
Don't forget, the lottery aquarium paint stands out. Love to all Ghanaians. The lottery aquarium paint.
Let's go. My guest is ready.
Auntie, you're not done with your makeup yet.
I will apply it in the car. Let's go.
This scarf. I can't wait to see Grandpa. I miss him so much.
Tissues for Papa, quality tissues for everyone.
So, broke uncle, when are you going to my movement?
Tissues for Papa, tissues for Papa, tissues for Papa.
Please can I use the washroom?
You'll ever taste.
Hi, baby.
Hi, Mom.
Hope you're having fun at Granny's.
Yeah, but Grandma doesn't have my favorite top chocolate spread. Hi, Mom. Mommy, please, I missed top chocolate spread on bread.
Tasty too. Made just for you and me. Choco, it's chocolate choco, it's chocolate choco, it's chocolate choco. Top choco, it's chocolate.
Surprise children!
Yay! It's chocolate choco.
Taste of chocolate.
This advert is FDA approved.
To vote, Mentor 13, the Rising Star Edition.
Mentor 13 is powered by Shaltox Lozenges.
Sponsored by
Darling Lemon Drink,
Darling XYZ Wine,
Blue Jeans Energy Drink,
Enapa Foods, Frutelli Calipo,
Obuasi Nubuna Mwankasa.
I do your love until the end. I'm gonna tell them